Good morning, everyone. We're going to try and get started almost on time. So if everybody could take their seats, that would be great. I didn't think I'd need my glasses, but I do. I'm Margaretta Andrews, Executive Director of the Community Foundation for Nantucket. I welcome you all here this morning. This is our annual grants recipient breakfast. It is by far the best event of the year, by far. My personal favorite, and it will be yours by the end of the morning. Today, we will award over $155,000 to 31 recipients whose missions and programs most closely align with where we believe the needs are the greatest today. We continue to convene our community to identify and discuss our most pressing current needs, which allows us to be strategic in our grant making around those areas of priority. We envision a Nantucket where everyone, equally and inclusively, has a place to call home, has support when coping with personal struggles, knows their children are safe and active during the workday, can rely on year-round affordable public transportation, and may age gracefully with trust in the services they need and deserve. You will hear this last sentence again in a few moments. In our ongoing efforts to grow the Nantucket Fund, we commissioned Dan Driscoll of September Productions to help us create a series of short videos aimed at highlighting the needs of the Nantucket community. Many thanks to Annie Camara, who is here today, and Rob Cucuzzo for being part of these efforts, and you can see their videos on our website and on YouTube. Jason and Courtney Bridges were also participants, and we're going to show you their story now.
You don't have to record this, but I think people really want to be here. When they come for a summer, they're like, this is my place. Yes. I want to be here. And I don't mind working 3 jobs to be here. That's a sacrifice, right? To be in a place like Nantucket. It's not just the beaches. There's this really great community here that's year-round. It's eclectic. There's artists. It's really amazing. But when you're working 3 jobs, and then you lose your housing, and you're trying to stay here, that's when all these little pressures come in, and your safety nets start falling through. And some people don't just move back to the Midwest. Some people try to stay and fight it out, and they can get into trouble, right? Because it's hard, because the pressures are there.
And that impacts your family. Stress impacts families, and that's when you need to come together as a community, and when you need community support to be able to make it through those difficult times.
I think the hidden Nantucket happens because we're so busy. It's the hustle and bustle. Whether we're trying to make money or we're vacationing, and we lose sight of, or can't see the hidden Nantucket. We might drive by it every day. The big one for me was the elder community when I used to do Meals on Wheels. That was a big eye-opener for me. I had been driving down these same roads over and over and over again and did not know who lived in them. Right? It's very basic, but once I started delivering these meals, and seeing people in their 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s who rarely get out of their house, who are so happy to have a visitor and have this food that can be provided for them, that really woke me up a little bit to one of the many parts of the hidden Nantucket.
I love Nantucket families, and I hope that you get to know some of our families that live here and work here year-round. They're the hardest working people. They have so much love and passion for the island. And a really important part of their life is also their family. And so providing reliable and year-round, consistent, safe childcare is a priority for many of our working families. Even just today, a family came in to check on their placement at our school, and they were talking about how if they can't find quality care, they will have to look to move. And that's such a sad truth to our island, and the more families that we can service, the better.
Because we're 30 miles out to sea, and because this island year-round population continues to grow and grow and grow, the voices have been harder to hear. The voices of we need help, whether it's mental health or elder care or housing, are getting more drowned out. It doesn't mean people aren't listening, and they don't want to listen. It's just harder to hear them because we're growing. I think if we don't do something about it, the fabric of our year-round populations, our nurses, our teachers, our police officers, our firefighters, what you really need to have in the community. If they don't stay for longer amounts of time, I think that's going to make things really difficult. I know a lot of, for example, police officers. They end up leaving. As soon as you want to raise a family and own a house, it's time to go. That's assuming you can even find a place to stay to get to that point. It's one of the things that's great about the Community Foundation for Nantucket is that you can go to them and say, hey, I see that there's this problem in the elder community, whether it's loneliness or mental health or food or services or healthcare. How can I help? And they're that venue who can, that informed philanthropy, which I love in the mission statement. It's my favorite 2 words. That it allows you, it guides you on how to help. The Community Foundation for Nantucket is raising the volume of the voices that need to be heard.
It's different on Nantucket, and the Community Foundation's Nantucket Fund makes a difference here. The island's deeply interconnected, vibrant, and engaged community is its greatest strength. We invited local leaders to identify the key issues facing the island's community. From that conversation, our vision emerged. We see a Nantucket where everyone, equally and inclusively, has a place to call home, has support when coping with personal struggles, knows their children are safe and active during the workday, can rely on year-round affordable public transportation, and may age gracefully with trust in the services they need and deserve. We invite you to participate in this vision. Invest in the Nantucket Fund. Invest in Nantucket. Make a difference here.
So we thank the Bridges again for their time. And now I'd like to introduce Victoria McManus, who's the president of our Board of Trustees.
Wow, good morning. The first breakfast I went to had, I don't know, a group of people in a little room in Sherburne Commons, and you had to bring your own coffee and give somebody a hug. Boy, hugs to all of you. I can speak at length about the tax code, but for some reason when I speak about the Community Foundation, I have this great need to start tearing up because it's very, very, very special. So I apologize for my cracked voice, but it really comes from the heart. Thank you so much for being here. So I'm lucky to be president of the Board of Trustees of the Community Foundation. I serve with great people that are amazing, both of our entire board, our entire staff. I am so proud of this organization. We gave away this year so far over $1 million. This little group that when I came had $150,000 in the bank, and that was only 5 years ago. And that's because of you, and that's because of this vibrant community. It's amazing. Two years ago, the Board of Trustees decided to make the Nantucket Fund a permanent fund for the island for as long as it's needed, all right? To that end, there is now a group of over 15 businesses and individuals who have pledged over $10,000 a year, right, to ensure that as we build this legacy, that we always have $150,000 to give every year to this community, right? This is a really important effort, right? All of our funds are important, but this one is very special because it really is your fund. It exists, right? Because there are challenges in this community, and it exists because of you, the people who try to face and solve and address those challenges. I cannot thank you enough. I cannot wait, okay, until we can talk about the many things that we have changed. I think you're hearing more and more about us, or you wouldn't be here. I always expect to see, I don't know, 7 or 8 people in a room and do it. So this is truly amazing. And I want to keep it that simple, all right? I want to know that the Nantucket Fund is here. I want to know that we're here. I want to know that whatever challenges we face, that we can talk about them, all right? Figure them out and solve them. You know, we live in a country that's got a lot of changes to face. But those of you who call Nantucket home, whether it's for a week, a month, a year, or in February, right, are unique because you face those challenges and you talk about them and you come together, right, and you give. The Nantucket Fund is supported by $5 to $50,000 pledges. It really is, and that's why it happens. So I want you to thank yourself, and I wanted to thank our staff, Margaretta, right, who has struggled to hang on to a vision that she really, really believes in and has made some amazing transformation happen in the last 2 years. This Grants Breakfast is amazing. You are amazing, and I am one of the most grateful people on earth to be here. Thank you. I want to introduce Jean Miller. She does all the heavy lifting. She's got a big title now, like program coordinator. But she not only handles her grants, she handles our scholarships. She spends time with all of you. I know those of you in the nonprofit community know her. You know about the follow-up, you know the time that she spends to make sure that we're granting well and we're making a difference. We couldn't do it without her. And I want to acknowledge Marcia, who's been our chair of grants committee for as long as I've been here. Okay. And she has a wonderful committee of both trustees and volunteers in the community that help her, who dig in, who spend the time. And it's a gift to be able to give, but it's a time-consuming gift to give. And I want to acknowledge them as well. Thank you for all you do, Jean. I'll let the giving begin.
Good morning. Thank you so much for all coming here. I'm honored to have the best job of the day. I get to give out the checks. And so I also have one of the best jobs because I get to give out the money. I love it. So Marcia and I are going to do that today. But before I do that, I just want to acknowledge those on the grants committee. If you sit on our grants committee, would you stand up? These people work very hard at vetting every application that comes in. The procedure this morning is going to be a little bit different. We've streamlined things because we want all of our recipients to be able to have the time to actually share their story with us a bit. So you'll see in your brochure, we've put things into sectors. So I'm going to call each sector up at a time, and if you come up and sit down, when you get to the podium, if you would introduce, say your name and your organization, and then share with us briefly a story that you'd like us to hear about your organization. So we're going to start with housing this morning. So Nantucket Rental Assistance, Habitat for Humanity, and Housing Nantucket.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Janice Carrero. I'm with the Nantucket Rental Assistance, which is a program of the Nantucket Interfaith Council. I think you all know what we do. We provide short-term rental assistance to families and individuals, lower-income families and individuals who are facing a financial crisis and may not be able to pay their rent or may be losing their housing, and we step in for a short period of time. But my voice is not the voice you want to hear. So today I'm going to speak in the voice of one of the families that this grant helps. And it came to me in a card, all wrinkled and crinkled, but here we go. Just a little bit of information. This is a family who needs to work 2 jobs to be able to pay their rent. One of the members had a very aggressive ovarian cancer and could not work for almost a year. And the other had to stay out of work for long periods of time to be caregiver. So, in their words, dear Janice and committee members of the Interfaith Council, These past 4 months have been manageable, solely due to your extremely generous aid. Prior to consider seeking financial assistance, I seriously thought that I would be able to afford the expense of our life together. How wrong that proved to be. I have always been dependent on my belief that things work out and not to stress over it. But each month I thought a lot about the check you sent to my landlord, and I would shake my head thinking, what would we have done but not for you? Blank has felt badly since she has had to stop work nearly a year ago. She is not accustomed to being sick, let alone idle, and not able to contribute to the household. She feels bad that you all have paid our rent. She is, however, extremely grateful, and I guess this is what humble feels like. She has gotten a part-time job cleaning and tidying. She has a large hernia at her surgical site, which keeps her ambitions in check. The last 18 months have been hell. The support from the council is so very much appreciated. Blank and I are extremely grateful. The hardship has been lightened by your help. Thank you.
Good morning. My voice usually isn't quite this low, but at any rate, my name's Joe Grouse. I'm the president of Habitat for Humanity Nantucket, and on behalf of our board, I'd like to thank the Community Foundation and the Nantucket Fund for this generous grant. As you may know, Habitat for Humanity pursues an ownership model for providing affordable housing here on Nantucket. We have completed 7 homes. For some of you who may have been here last year, Mayanne Scarlett, who is the owner of 20 Tacoma, spoke last year. He moved into his house. He and his family moved into their house in August of this year. And we are hurrying to complete our 8th Habitat home at 7 Waposset Circle, which is in Satcham's Path. And this grant is actually going towards the heating and HVAC system in that home. So it's very important money that helps us bear the cost of building what we believe are some of the best but least expensive homes here on Nantucket. And I would, I guess, like to close by thanking the many people that make all of this work that we do possible to be part of the affordable housing solution here on Nantucket. We're not going to be the entire solution. We build basically 1 house a year, but we have, as I said, we're finishing up our 8th home, and we have 9, 10, and 11 in the queue. And that wouldn't be possible without the support of the CPC, the Community Preservation Committee, organizations like the Community Foundation who provide us support, the many, many tradespeople, carpenters, plumbers, electricians, who either give us their services gratis or give us very steep discounts that allow us to put these homes together that we think can help solve part of the solution for lower income families here on Nantucket. So I'd like to thank all of those tradespeople as well as all the volunteers and board members of our organization who work so hard to keep our building process going. And thank all of you. Thanks very much.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Ann Cuspa from Housing Nantucket. Here we are celebrating the great work of the Community Foundation, and I am just so thrilled that for the 3rd year in a row, Housing Nantucket has received a significant grant from the Nantucket Fund. So we're just so grateful about that. And when I think back to 3 years ago, it really was that initial grant, which was our housing study that the Nantucket Fund helped us to commission. That was really a launching point for us, and I think it really says a lot about the way that the committee chooses a grant. It's a meditative boost for our work, and we just appreciate it so very much. This year, we have received a grant to finish a 3rd unit at one of our rental housing units that we have under construction right now. This is going to create a household, a 2-bedroom house for a family that's already living here. And when we all know that housing and finding affordable housing is such a struggle, especially rental housing, and having that quality housing available for the community, that's why we're just so grateful again to have received a grant. So thank you, Margaretta, thank you, Jean, thank you to all the grants committee and to everyone who's helped to give us this money, as well as all the other people in the room. So we're just so happy to be part of it. Thank you.
One thing I wanted to say, most of these organizations fit into more than one sector, so because they're blocked this way, we just had to make a choice. Our next group is going to be the mental health substance use disorder group, so A Safe Place, Fairwinds, which is most of you know as Family Children Services, which has changed their name, ASAP, NAMI, and the Artists Association for Nantucket.
Hello, I'm Nancy Rappaport. I'm the trauma therapist at A Safe Place. And I'm accepting this for Jennifer Frazee, who's our Director of Program Services. And I guess most of you know A Safe Place. The work we do is for survivors and victims of sexual assault and domestic violence on the island. And every year we serve several hundreds of people. Our goal is to live in a community without sexual assault and domestic violence. And I just want to thank the Community Foundation for this grant, which actually is going to specifically be used in the trauma program this year, which helps teens and adults. So, thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Holly McGowan, President of the Alliance for Substance Abuse Prevention. We're extremely grateful to the Community Foundation for Nantucket and the Nantucket Fund today. We have been implementing programs for the community, education surrounding substance abuse disorder prevention, and strategies for the community and the students. And this grant is particularly helpful this year because it's going to be a sustainable tool for us to use. And I'd like to introduce one of our board members, Shelley Olson, who is also the PE health teacher for the middle school.
So I went on a training and for drug prevention, and I also received lots of materials and resources to help kids with drug prevention tools and coping strategies and resilience and building confidence. So it's a great program, and we really appreciate you supporting it. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Tess D'Alberti. I'm the Executive Director of Fairwinds, formerly Family and Children's Service. As many of you know, 65 years ago, our community did just what we're doing today. They pulled together and they made mental health and substance abuse a priority for our island. While our name is new, our mission is steadfast, been the same. We provide quality clinical services from outpatient therapy for adults, couples, families, children, psychiatric management for medication to help adults and children foster and grow, parenting education, and community outreach for children who have emotional challenges in the school system after Strong Wings, Boys and Girls Club. We're there every single day, as well as for adults with addiction. We're out in the community getting them to the Suboxone treatment program, to NA meetings, to AA meetings. 2 years ago, we very specifically started to shift towards prevention. We wanted to early identify kids that were going to be at risk for substance abuse and significant mental health, after we all know in 2006 to 2009 we lost 8 teens to suicide. The grant that we wrote for this year is specifically around psychological testing. Dr. Jephthah Tausic Edwards comes here from Manhattan twice a month and does a battery of testing, which is literally a key that unlocks a complicated child and helps them thrive and flourish. A simple example, which it's never that simple, would be an 8-year-old little boy from El Salvador. In school, it looked like oppositional defiance, it looked like ADHD, it was hard to control, constantly getting in trouble. And after a long weekend of testing with the family, we knew there was trauma involved, but it was specifically post-traumatic stress disorder that changed the wiring of a child's brain in which they were reactive. They couldn't sit down, they didn't feel safe. It completely changed our treatment from medication that was for ADHD now to depression and anxiety symptoms. The child's family got a ton of information, parented differently, and the child is now an A student. Psychological testing can be a key for a complicated kid to really become the best self. Thank you so much for supporting that.
Good morning. My name is Ruth Blount, and I'm representing the National Alliance on Mental Illness. NAMI, and we now call NAMI on Nantucket because we have a new just influx of services and help and enthusiasm. NAMI has helped our own family so tremendously as we have struggled with mental health issues among our loved ones, that I have become passionate about helping others. And NAMI's real heart and soul is to help the family so that they, in turn, can be the caregivers and have the support and education that they need. This particular grant, for which we are so grateful, is going to be used to bring a program to Nantucket schools called Think Kids. It has been here once before, but not everyone was able to attend. This is a program developed at Mass General, and it's to help learn how, for parents, teachers, clinicians, to learn how to work with a challenging child, a child with challenging behavior, instead of thinking of them as a bad kid. The premise of Think Kids is that for whatever reason, these children do not have the skill sets in order to face whatever they're facing. And so with evaluation and with skills called collaborative problem solving, they learn to help the child, who then responds, just as Tess was describing. And I'm just so grateful. It will be an all-day, all faculty program with further training. Parents will be welcome. I wish that I had been able to attend this when my children were young. I'm grateful that my grandchildren will be affected by teachers and parents learning, and as we all know, for each child we help, it affects our community. And I just want to say thank you for your support.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cecil Barron Jensen, the Executive Director of the Artist Association of Nantucket. And why are we in this category, you ask? We firmly believe that art makes a difference in an individual's life. It makes you feel better. It makes you feel better about other people. It helps you learn. It helps you expand your soul. And for that reason, I'm really grateful, Margaret and Jean, that you put us in this category, because it is true. Art really does make a difference. So to be specific about why we're here, we were given last year given the opportunity really with the opening of our new Visual Arts Center at 24 Amelia Drive, the opportunity to expand our programming, to reach out to students and people that maybe before hadn't thought that they could come in and take art classes. And so one of the programs that we launched was Healing Through the Creative Arts, and we're really grateful to the support that we got from the Community Foundation to launch that effort. It was so successful. We offered an 8-week class. We had to expand the enrollment and all the way up to 13 students with one teacher. They loved it. We kept hearing all this positive feedback. So this year, we asked the Community Foundation to support us again, and we're going to offer 2 classes. So we're really excited about that, and looking forward to pulling in a whole new group of people into our building and to explore what art can do for them. And I'm going to turn it over to one of our students, Allison Forsgren.
Hello. I was a member of the first class, and it was so lovely to be with other people who were in grief, to do something that was healing, healthy, and a lot of fun. So it was a great idea, and I thank the foundation as well.
Our next category is elders, and we're going to have Nantucket Community for Elder Affairs, Nantucket Community Sailing, and Linda Loring Nature Center. And they'll tell you why they're in the elders category.
Good morning. I'm Julie Fitzgerald. I'm a member of the Board of Directors of the Nantucket Center for Elder Affairs, or NCEA. And I'd just like to recognize our President, Joe Aguirre, and our Treasurer, Jean Grimmer, are also here. But I think people are like, who are the NCEA group? And I think it is confusing, because I know even our name is a little bit confusing in the brochure that you have. So Nantucket Center for Elder Affairs is a nonprofit organization that was created in 1975. We had the good fortune of being a beneficiary of an estate of Dorothy Souza, and were given some funds. So we had an unusual and maybe dubious distinction in the state of Massachusetts of being one of the few senior centers, which was sort of a private public combination where we own the building on town land. So we have the responsibility of maintaining and operating that building where the town basically operates our senior center, or the Saltmarsh Center. In 1986, the building was built in about 1983. In 1986, the I&M had an article that indicated there were 232 senior users of the Saltmarsh Center. Now we recognize there are well over 600 people using our Saltmarsh Center. It is projected that by 2030, 25% of Nantucket's population will be over 60. That would be 2,800 individuals who might be using the services of the senior center. I think if you don't participate in the activities there, if you ever spend a few minutes there, you would see it's an incredible beehive of activity, incredible amount of volunteerism. There's all sorts of activities, programming, exercise, all sorts of arts and other activities. It's an incredible center, incredible amount of activity, incredible amount of volunteerism that comes out of the participants who use our facility. And that's so important to give seniors a place to be, a place to call their own. What we were looking at as NCEA is looking at how do we determine where we go in the future? What do we need for a facility? Are we serving our seniors today? So we met with an individual from the state, and he had advised us that there were a number of towns who were doing these studies. So that's why we went to Nantucket Community Foundation asking for funding so that we can do a senior needs assessment study. This will provide some real data for NCEA, our Council on Aging, and the town to review the needs of the senior population of Nantucket. We know we have this proposal of the island home relocation and planning, This would be a perfect opportunity to consider the senior center and other needs of the senior population. Housing, transportation, medical services should all be part of our vision for the present and the future needs. So we're proposing to have a study done by UMass Boston Gerontology Institute. Many, many towns in the state have had one of these studies done. It does a demographic profile. It works with focus groups to identify topics and issues. There's a very large survey that's done. There are key informant interviews, and we can even do a comparison of our Council on Aging with other communities. And I know last year Nantucket Community Foundation identified seniors as one of its primary focuses, and this happened to coincide with our decision of the NCEA to seek funding to do one of these elder needs assessment studies. We're thrilled to be the recipient of this grant money, and we really look forward to proceeding with the study and being able to present to our community. It's a very significant volume of work when you see what's done, and I think it will give us a whole lot of insight as to what we need now and what we need to be looking forward to in the future for our senior community. So thank you to Community Foundation and everyone who supported us.
Better bring my check.
Hi, I'm Diana Brown from Nantucket Community Sailing. I really want to thank the Community Foundation, Margaretta, and the board for putting this breakfast on. This breakfast every year is one of the most heartwarming and special experiences, and it always makes me feel so humbled to be with people who are serving our community in so many different ways. Nantucket Community Sailing, you may not think of us in the elder category. I hope it's not a reflection on me. But we serve 1,000 children every year in our sailing programs, and we believe that sailing is much more about how to tack and how to go around a mark. It's teaching confidence and teamwork, lifelong skills that will help these kids grow into be wonderful adults. But the same thing is true for older students. And we started 3 years ago our Sails for Old Salts. And since working with the Salt Marsh Center and now with Sherburne Commons, also with Pascon, we've had a lot of old salts out on the boat. Many of them steer, they trim the sails, some take naps, but it's but we get such wonderful feedback from the people about what the experience is. And I thought I would just read you one letter. Dear Nantucket Community Sailing, in August I was fortunate to be able to take advantage of your generous offer to take older people sailing. We had a marvelous 3-hour sail. It was a beautiful evening, and we all enjoyed it so much. Thank you. And to be able to touch people like that, and we have a wait list of old salts who want to sail, I just really want to thank the Community Foundation for enabling this. This grant will also enable us to do free sailing and water sports for kids from the Star program and kids from Adams Camp. So again, thank you very much for your support.
Good morning. I'm Sarah Boyce. I'm the Director of Research and Education at the Linda Loring Nature Foundation. So similarly, many of you might not think of us as part of the elder group, but at the Linda Loring Nature Foundation, we're committed to connecting people of all ages of our community with science and nature through that lifetime of learning. And so many of you know or have heard we've been successful with many of our children's programs, particularly working with all the different Nantucket schools. And we're really reaching out to our, I like the term the old salts, maybe. So this money from the Community Foundation, which I'm so thankful for, is going to help us develop a new program with the old salts of the Nantucket community. We're going to be starting working with the Salt Marsh Senior Center. We are dedicated to bringing our science and nature programming to the senior center, making it free and available and open to the public, providing opportunities to get people out and about, both at the Linda Loring Nature Foundation itself and other field trips. So this funding, which we're very thankful for, is going to help us develop that program and make it available throughout the whole year. And like I said, we're really dedicated to that lifetime of learning. So we hope that this program will be sustainable in the future. And I would just want to once again thank you to the Community Foundation and the Nantucket Fund.
I think this next one's our largest category. We have education. So the Nantucket Star, Eagan Maritime Institute, the Nantucket Book Foundation, the Mariah Mitchell Association, the Lighthouse School, and the Friends of the Nantucket Public Schools.
I am Tina Stedman. I'm the director of the Nantucket Star program. For those of you who don't know what we do, we have been providing therapeutic recreation for children with special needs on Nantucket for 14 years. And this was a very exciting year for us as we have seen some very special things happen. One in particular is we were able to put together a team of our swimmers, students, and some of their parents, and we're actually able to raise money and participate in the Swim Across America in support of a very beloved staff member who just recently lost her battle with cancer. But I can't tell you how incredible it was to have our children and families to be able to participate in a community activity. And so kudos to Swim Across America who helped make that happen for us. As well as our swim program is now in its, going into its 5th year. And we have an actual swimmer who started with us swimming on the Whaler swim team this year, as well as one joined the Dolphin swim team. So I'm just so grateful to all of you because I look out and there are many nonprofits who partner with us and enable us to do what we do. And so thank you so much for opening your arms to Star and to our families. And I want to thank the foundation and the Nantucket Fund in particular, who is, this grant will be supporting our sensory art class with the Artists Association, which we have our largest class this year. They had to move us actually into a bigger room because we had so many kids. And also for our CrossFit at the Nantucket Cycling and Fitness Studio. So thank you so much. And I just want to say thank you, Jean and Marcia, for coming. Where are you? Yeah, to come and check out what we do. It means so much that the foundation actually, I think they actually participated in a couple of our classes, which can get interesting sometimes. But thank you for your support, and thank you to all of you for embracing Star and letting us do what we do. Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Pauline Proch, and I am the Executive Director for Eagan Maritime Institute. I didn't have any real sense of direction or purpose in life, but that was before sailing aboard Lynx. Sailing on the Lynx means waking up in the morning, still exhausted from the night before. It means the company of a crew that you trust with your safety. The only way to understand it is to experience it for yourself. I'm a very enclosed person, never trusting anyone, never talking to anyone, and I keep everything inside. But the moment I stepped on board, I felt the instant trust in the air, the friendliness, the openness. It is a warm feeling, one that I had not felt in a very long time. I found happiness. The Lynx and its crew will always hold a very special place in my heart that I never thought would ever be filled completely. It's not easy to accredit these gains to any other time or place in my life. I have always struggled with feelings of inadequacy and lack of self-esteem. I cried at the conclusion of the 7-day journey, not only out of the sadness that it was over, but also the joy of realizing what she, the ship, had brought me and how I had grown. A place where incredibly valuable skills, physical, mental, social skills that will undoubtedly be used throughout every aspect of life, are cultivated and rooted more deeply than skills learned through anxiety and stresses. My time on the links gifted me a refreshing sense of belonging, and I will forever value the skills I learned from being part of a team. These are reflections that were written by 16 and 17-year-old high school students. They had just completed a 7-day voyage as crew on board the Lynx tour ship. At Eagan Maritime, through our Sea of Opportunities Maritime Education Program, we believe in the philosophy of experiential education. We believe it is the best way to educate students no matter what their learning ability. We are proud of our 4-year partnership in the classroom as we continue to enjoy a unique relationship with both our private and public schools at the middle school as we educate their students. The grant from the Community Foundation will allow us to continue to utilize our island as a classroom. It will allow us to transport students outside of the classroom and experience field trips. Our students in 8th grade will travel to the Sconset Bluff while they study erosion. They will visit the creeks while studying water quality. We hope next year to get the entire 8th grade district-wide back off the island to visit Woods Hole Oceanographic. We have developed a unique classroom experience where students learn about their maritime heritage while also being exposed to maritime careers, trades, and sciences. The integrated classroom reinforces math, English language arts, science, and social studies. And the tour ship is another way that we are able to teach by doing. The second part of our classroom education is a unique opportunity to sail on board a tour ship as crew between a 3 to 7 day sail. Last year, we were able to offer this to 8th grade students as well as rising juniors and seniors. Last year, we reached 165 students in the classroom, and over 250 students were able to go on board Lynx. I believe that we are offering an opportunity for our young people to experience new opportunities in a world where anxieties are on the rise. Substance use is more prevalent, and the amount of stress that our young people feel is palpable. I believe to the students that we are reaching, we are making a difference and offering not only hope, but options. It's an honor to be here with the wonderful group that we are part of, and I really appreciate the Community Foundation and the committee in providing this grant. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Wendy Hudson. I'm here on behalf of the Nantucket Book Foundation, which is the organization that runs the Nantucket Book Festival. I have to agree with, I guess Victoria said it first, is like, I remember when the Community Foundation, we had a little lunch at the Sea Grill, some of the founding board members, I'm sure, here, and the wonderful Peggy Gifford, and to see her vision realized so beautifully is really, it's always so inspiring to be part of this group. I feel a lot of pride, too, that the book festival, which was a little nascent idea 6 years ago or so now, has grown to become, people know the book festival, and it's touching, a lot of people in our event in the summertime. But our vision is bigger, and it really, to do kind of like the Community Foundation has been able to do, is to touch so many lives. We want to continue that, all ages and really focusing on children. So what this grant from the Nantucket Fund will allow us to do is to bring authors to the schools. So we have this spring Benjamin Alir Sens. Annie, help me, I never say his name correctly. Sens, thank you. Visiting the high school, and we do the Penn Faulkner Writers in Schools program. And even we've expanded now to have visiting authors in the fall. So we just had Linda Mullally Hunt, who was a huge hit. And we'll hope to continue that next fall as well and just keep building on it as we go. So we couldn't be more grateful. We hope that everyone in this room knows, that books change lives in this current climate of, just more and more important in our society to have empathy and understanding. And we hope that we're a small part of that for the island. So thank you so much to you all.
Good morning. My name is David Gagnon. I'm the Executive Director of the Mariah Mitchell Association. First of all, I want to thank the Community Foundation for Nantucket and the Nantucket Fund for awarding us a grant to support the Nantucket Science Festival that we'll be hosting in March. I'll tell you a little bit about that in a second. But I just want to, as I was sitting here, and this happened to me last year, and I was just in awe of the amount of support that organizations, individuals, and other foundations as well support our nonprofits on the island. I can say this with absolute certainty that without that support, we wouldn't exist. And I also want to say about the selection committee here, I truly don't know how you do it, because there are so many amazing projects, and I'm sitting here saying, yeah, I'm really glad they gave to us, but they probably should give a little more there and a little more there, because they really could, because it's just amazing. And I try to always think about how we fit in, and I think the way the Mariah Mitchell, and I know the way we fit in, is by, is what we do is create excitement and inspiration amongst our children and adults as well. Excitement about science and about learning by doing. The Mariah Mitchell Association is based on Mariah Mitchell, America's first woman astronomer, but her legacy was really about learning by doing. She was so radical in her time that when she was a professor at Vassar College, she used to sneak with her kids after doing her formal lessons and bring them in the back and allow them to challenge her on issues that she was talking about, scientific principles and things about astronomy. And what was so exciting at the time, nobody taught like that before, but she felt passionately that if you didn't question things, that you didn't use your powers of observation, you weren't going to learn and be inspired. And it truly is what we do, is we offer our summer camp programs, our year-round programs, astronomy at the Loynes Observatory, as well as the Science Festival, which has seen great growth in the last few years. I think we are, George, probably at 250 a year ago, or 2 years ago. Last year we had 375 people that came to the festival in March, and we really appreciate the support that we're getting to put that festival on again. It's a great time of year to get all the families out. Just want to tell you one quick story, because it's all about the spark that is created when people get inspired. We had a middle school student who was one of our interns and had gone through a lot of our program this summer, bike with her family to Nantucket Beach. When she got out there, of course, because she was with Mariah Mitchell and had a lot of interest in poking around, she was in the marsh looking around and actually found a seahorse. Her family had just settled down there, they're all biked there, and she said, I have to do something. We have to go back and bring this to Mariah Mitchell to the aquarium. And I suspect, I don't know this for certain, but I suspect they said, we just got here, It's just like, all the things. She got on her bike, in her basket, got a bucket, covered it up, rode all the way back to Mariah Mitchell, delivered that female, I'll tell it's a female seahorse, and by the way, they mate for life, so it's a little sad that she only found one. But so if you see a depressed seahorse in our tank, you'll know who it is. But she came back, and that seahorse, this is 4 months now. We were a little worried at first, but that seahorse is quite robust, and we hope to find a mate for her at some point. But so thank you all, and for all of you for your support and inspiration to us. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Emily Miller, and I'm the head of school of Nantucket Lighthouse School, and I want to thank the Community Foundation for Nantucket and the Nantucket Fund Grants Committee for supporting our educational speaker series. This is a series that we started less than a year ago, and in the last 9 months, we've had over 270 participants in our professional development programs. And what we've been doing is bringing really world-class speakers to Nantucket to provide professional development for all island educators as well as Nantucket families. So this year with our grant, we're going to be screening a film that's really getting a lot of attention across the country and around the world. It's called Most Likely to Succeed, and it's based on a book by Tony Wagner and Ted Dintersmith, and it's a really important and timely conversation about what it is we're preparing our students for. How is our educational system addressing the changes in what our children need to be ready for when they leave us? And we're entering a time in their lives where innovation is one of the most important things that we need to be thinking about. So I want to thank the Community Foundation. I think Nantucket just got a little brighter today, so thank you very much.
Morning, everybody. I'm Eleanor Antonietti. I have the privilege of representing, with Andrea Planzer, who's in the audience, the Friends of Nantucket Public Schools. We are the parent-teacher organization for the ever-growing public school system here. And I just want to say as a sidebar, I think every one of us in this room has been touched by probably every one of these organizations. I'm going to get a little crackly voice too, but there's no way at some point in time that you haven't been touched by one of these organizations. And we are very lucky to be one of them, to be a recipient of this incredibly generous and indispensable amount of money. We use it specifically for our children's fund, which allows us to help hundreds of kids do extracurricular activities. That'll be violin lessons, piano lessons, dance lessons, a trip for school leadership off island, sports, non-school-based sports, any number of things, strong wings or whatever, any number of things that, working families need their kids to be doing enriching activities after school. Kids want to do those things, and we want to help that happen. So thank you to the Community Foundation. Thank you, committee, because I can't imagine what it's like to have to vet all these very worthy applicants. And we are very fortunate to be a recipient. And I do remember that breakfast at the Sherburne Commons. And hallelujah, Peggy Gifford. She was a wonderful person. Thank you all.
It's so nice to hear people mention Peggy. Our next very small category is childcare. So we have the community school and Small Friends on Nantucket.
Hi, folks. I'm Caitlin Waddington, Director for Nantucket Community School. Our mission is to engage, strengthen, and connect the community, and we do that in a wide variety of different ways. I like to say itty-bitty to wisdom-filled, but we could say old salts. We get to touch all different aspects of the community. This year, we were given this really great opportunity in a very different way when there was a gap in service that was unexpected for our community. We Whalers was closed unexpectedly, and we had 40 families that were immediately impacted with zero notice on what to do with their kiddos and how were they going to go to work and how were they going to sustain themselves having young children not being taken care of. So it was a very trying time, and I actually think that the different services that we've heard about today actually were all probably involved with all of these families, because the panic that was going through for these families for mental health, I was concerned for what would happen in the winter. As we're entering a season, if we don't have a solution for these kids. The priority for the community school, with the support from the superintendent, from the school committee, from the town, was to get these children back into the place that they felt safe, which was at Wee Whalers, in the heart of a place where they were being taken care of, where they could get their routine back in place, where the parents knew that the children were in a place where they wanted them to be, where they had themselves gone to preschool when they were young. So this family tradition that had been taken, we were able to put back into place, but with all of this different support. And it has been very key. We've been running for about 2 months now. There's lots of little smiles going on. You'll see the tree is over by the Mariner House in Stroll. We've got the traditions back. We've gone Halloween trick-or-treating. We've got all the different pieces that help the families feel safe, the kids learning, the routines consistent. People aren't at risk of losing their jobs. We are knowing that these kids are going to be ready for kindergarten. We're keeping that going. We cannot do that without financial support, and that is the Community Fund and the Community Foundation. And of course, there are others as well, but today we need to highlight the incredible work that Margaretta and Jean and the board here has done for our community. We cannot do it without you guys, and we appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts. Our little ones appreciate it, and thank you very much.
Good morning, I'm Courtney over at Small Friends, and today I'm just really a little bit overwhelmed to be here. It's so clear that giving and gratitude go hand in hand, and everything that I do I see through the lens of children. And just at the beginning of our school year, a 3-year-old thrust a handful of half-dead dandelions into my hand and said, "These are from my heart." And I really believe that what's happening right now, what the Nantucket Fund is providing, is from their heart. And it's going right to the lifeline of Nantucket. The work that the committee and the foundation are doing, they're impacting all of us. And it's so powerful. I really appreciate it. And I'm also greatly inspired by every person in this room, because when I look around and I see all the work that we're all doing to support our community, I think there is no other place like it. Thank you very much.
Our next category is diversity, and once again, the community school is going to come up. Cheryl's going to come up. The Nantucket Music Center, and our Inky Santa program.
Good morning. I have the privilege of working with Caitlin and the Nantucket Community School. I'm Cheryl Reichwein, and I'm the Director of Adult Education and Enrichment. I joined the team, and we're talking a team because it's amazing the breadth and depth of programming that we offer with our core team. At the end of last May, I think. And I come with a background, some of you know me from other hats I've worn on the island over the years, but I've also been an adjunct professor at Cape Cod Community and Communication for almost 30 years. And I hate to say that because that puts me in the old salt categories. But I'm in good company here, I know that. And so my passion's been academia, it's been communication, and I came to the community school because we're in a place where probably most of you also know about the Learn Without Leaving initiative that Remain and the community school worked together on a couple of years back. And we really wanted to see about bringing more higher education, if we wanted to call it that, but looking at bringing the education part of adult ed into more focus. So when I came on board, I really thought that what I was going to be doing would be college courses and professional development and a lot of the pieces that we're focused on and we're working on. But it was a surprise to me that I would be here today accepting this grant for an initiative that's about English language learning. And that came to me in a couple of different ways. First, I knew that we were offering classes, and we've been doing it for a while. And I knew that the need was growing because I would occasionally go into, it was one day this summer when I was at the dry cleaners, and I stood in line waiting, and I didn't hear one word of English until I was the one who went to the counter. And I said, you know, that's interesting. That's happening as we're seeing throughout the island. And I thought, I don't know, I'm a communicator and I don't know how to communicate here. And then I had the good fortune to sit and the generosity of Jeremiah Spillane, who's the head of the English language learners for the Nantucket Public School System. And Jeremiah spent a good part of a day speaking with me. And one of the things that he shared just really, literally was one of those aha brain explosions. And he shared that 55% of the incoming kindergarten class in the Nantucket Public Schools this year comes from homes that are non-English speaking as a primary language. And so I realized that it's not just the little classes that we're now fortunate to be offering over at the high school. And we've got a wonderful group of 55 students who have come for the first time. We have a group that's doing a class of English with a workplace focus. So we're trying to learn how to meet the needs. I also realized that this is a cultural issue for the entire island. that I want to know how to communicate with these people, and they need to be part of our community communicating with us. And that the classes that we've been offering and the initiatives at the Athenaeum are a drop in the bucket for the scope of what needs to happen with English language training. So I had the idea and put it together, and the Community Foundation was generous enough to say, that's a good idea, that we're going to do a community symposium coming up. And we're going to bring together all of the stakeholders and educators and people from the diverse community, language communities, and anyone who has an interest to sit down together and say, how do we find innovative ways to deliver this language training across the board in our community and get everyone invested in making that a positive thing? Because it's not just their need, it's our need. And we know that in a lot of cases, people are working with interpreters and needing extra help and having difficulty delivering all of the beautiful services that you're all doing. So the more that we can raise that level. The other thing that inspired me about Jeremiah was that he was talking about when the students come in, of course they're younger and their brains work really quickly in developing language, but that his greatest pride is when he graduates them out of the English language learning system and into being more mainstream with their skills. I'd love to see our adults be able to get there, and it's so hard to get them there. So the other piece of the grant, it's a two-part. One is the symposium, and the second piece is a training program for adult English learner teachers. So we can have a core group, so we're not always pulling from the wonderful generosity of the teachers over at the public school system who work hard all day, and then we say, come on over and teach all night too. So we'll have a pool of people dedicated to adult English language learning, and we'll be able to hopefully meet more of the needs of the island across the board. And I hope that we'll continue to be in that conversation. And again, I'm so, so grateful for the Community Foundation for seeing this as a worthy project. Thank you.
I'm Jennifer Alborn. I'm with the Nantucket Music Center. We are obviously a cultural organization. I hope we're also obviously an education organization because that's the main focus of our mission. But we're thrilled to be part of the diversity category here today because that is one of our chief goals right now. We're grateful for this grant because it is going to help us get started in two different programs. The first is one called Musicalizando, which is a bilingual Portuguese-English taught program being taught by our new piano teacher, Kailani de Lima, who's a Brazilian-born musician. And just to give you an example of the universality of music as a language, Kailani is trained, she's a trained, not just a musician, but a trained music educator in the same tradition that Deborah Beal, who is our board vice president, is trained in, and she was thrilled to meet this young lady. So this Musicalizando is a program that is able to be taught in both Portuguese and English, so it's open to all, and is going to use traditional Brazilian instruments as one of the learning tools, and it's for younger children. And that inspired us to have a conversation with the Bulgarian school, the Nantucket Bulgarian school, to start a similar program that uses the Bulgarian music traditions to incorporate into their education program. And so I think that there's no reason not to expect that in the near future we could have Brazilian children and Bulgarian children and American-born children and anybody else in the community sitting down next to each other and making music together. And I look forward to bringing that product to you. So thank you very much to the Nantucket Fund and the Community Foundation for recognizing the possibilities that are there in the universal language of music. Thank you.
Well, we'll just mail the Inky Santa their check. I don't know what happened. Let's see. Health and medicine is our next category. So we have Health Imperatives, Swim Across America, Nantucket Cottage Hospital, and Safe Harbor for Animals. Good morning, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Torrent. I'm the Vice President of Health Services at Health Imperatives. I was here a couple of years ago, and just in that few years, I can see the difference in the size of the room and number of people. It's really exciting. I came on island last night. Our site manager, Alex Rosenberg, is home with her newborn. So thank you for having us, and thank you to the Community Foundation, Nantucket Fund, and the Sconset Outreach Chapel, am I saying it right, for this grant. Health Imperatives has provided family planning, young parent, healthy families programs, and the WIC, Women and Infant Nutrition Program, Children Nutrition Program, for almost 40 years on the island. And I love what you guys have said about the hidden Nantucket, and I also think some of our programs are hidden, and I think that the prior support, our grants have helped us to become unhidden. We've been able to increase access to our programs by 50% just in the last couple of years, from 400 to over 600 individuals and families. An example of one of the persons we've supported is a young adolescent who came to us, 16. She was pregnant, scared, not confident, sure she was going to make a horrible mom. With support from our Healthy Families programs, linking her to family planning so that she could eventually, after she gave birth, prevent another pregnancy until she was ready, and linking her to our WIC nutrition program. And through much support in the community of other programs, she developed slowly confidence, delivered a healthy baby, finished high school, and is an absolutely amazing mom. I think that's all I really wanted to say. But and last night, so I got to stay at a bed and breakfast here and walk around and see the beautiful island. And I read in the Nantucket Stroll magazine that there was a record number of births here last year, 159. I think some of you spoke to that, 159 last year. Last year, while we've expanded our services mostly for WIC and family planning, our Healthy Families Young Parent, First-Time Parent program is underserved. We had one person we served last year. So this grant is going to help us expand services, particularly to young families, people whose language may pose a barrier on the island, as we've talked about today, and people with addiction. So I want to just 159, I'm sure some of them were first-time parents, and would be eligible for our program. So I'm just here to make a push for that, and you'll see us more in the community. And we couldn't do the work without collaborating with so many of your agencies, and that's also part of what the grant will support, is continued collaboration. That is the key to getting the word out about all our services. So thank you again.
Hi, I'm Jim Pignato. I'm the co-event director at Swim Across America. I would like to also acknowledge Jill Rothke and Jenny Paradise, who are here with us today. Thank you to the Community Foundation and the Nantucket Fund. They've been with us since our inception of taking over the swim in 2013. Because of sponsors like the Community Foundation, we are able to tell our swimmers that every dollar that they raise stays right here on Nantucket. What we do, we're an open water swim event that happens every August, and we raise money for two very important causes on the island. And as I look across the room, I see some swimmers, I see some donors, I see some kayakers. It's really a big community event. We help fund the oncology program at the Nantucket Cottage Hospital. In 2013, that program was seeing roughly 300 patients through a nurse practitioner who was part-time. Since then, we were able to hire that nurse practitioner because of our swim to a full-time position, and now we're seeing well over 700 a year patient visits. If you think about those patient visits, 700 visits, because of this program, that's 700 less trips off island. And that's really the big crux of all this. Because we are 30 miles out to sea, making those simple just checkups with your doctors a lot more difficult. So to be able to have that is really key for us. We also support the palliative and supportive care of Nantucket. They're instrumental in dealing with families going through cancer. They serve about 125 families a year, from diagnosis through the disease, and then unfortunately sometimes after the disease, and how the family copes with that. The swim is near and dear to a lot of our hearts, and it supports these two programs, and we couldn't do it without the Community Foundation, so thank you.
Hi, I'm Brenda Johnson. I work at, I'm here on behalf of the hospital. I'm kind of overwhelmed, actually, looking at all of you because of all the work that everybody's doing. So my present job right now is I'm the clinical director for the new hospital, but my other job is I'm the person who has started the Patient Family Advisory Councils. We had to start a Patient Family Advisory Council in 2010, according to Governor Patrick, who said that all hospitals should have a Patient Family Advisory Council. That means that we have a group of people and we bring the voice of the community, patients and families to the hospital, and we infuse them into our practice and our design, so policies, programs, etc. I'm an old salt, I guess, and Jerry, I think I am, and geriatrics was my specialty from a nursing perspective, and then all of a sudden I had twin grandchildren, and so now pediatrics is also important to me, and so I started the idea of a pediatric patient family advisory council last year. We had a party. Dr. Kane was very excited. We have wonderful people on our committee. And this group of people, this diverse group of people, maybe not diverse so much as, ethnically, but certainly in experiences, and we're always looking for new members, decided to have a health fair. And so I'll let Betsy, who is one of our star co-chairs of the health fair, talk. She also happens to be the mother of my twin grandchildren. But what's exciting for me and for the hospital is that these two groups, the PFACs, have brought the voice of the patients and their families and their loved ones and community members to the design of the new hospital, which has been critical. And we have 48 members between the two councils, and we are always looking for more. I'm listening to all of you going, oh, well, she would be really good for this. Oh, she would really be. So I really would ask that Margaretta would be a good person to sort of send an email to saying, I'm interested, and please, because this group is really doing great things. And one of the great things we're doing, and thank you Community Foundation and the Nantucket Fund, is the Pediatric Be Well Health Fair. So I'm going to let Betsy tell you a little bit about that.
Good morning. I'm Betsy Brooks. I am the mother of the twins that she's talking about. When we started the PDPFAC, we realized that we had a whole bunch of us, and we're new parents, and that is probably the scariest thing we've ever done. We don't know what to do, we don't know where to go, and Google becomes your best friend. So we knew that the community had resources, we just didn't know where. It took the event for me to find out about healthy families, because I actually had to have my children off island because we don't do twins here because of our level 1 nursery. And I missed out on the healthy families because I didn't give birth here. So to find out about it during the health fair was super exciting, and to make sure that those who had to deliver off can get the healthy families visit and all that fun stuff. Allie Mitchell's my co-chair, and she has a brand new baby that she's at home with, and a 2-year-old who has a stomach flu. God bless her. And we, like I said, we just sort of were like, okay, let's do this. And the more we started with a really short timeline, because we're like, we got to get this done by spring. And so we just were like, okay, well, what do we do? And we basically took out the phone book and went down and we're like, okay, we got to call them. We got to call them. We got to call them. So if we skipped anybody, we're really sorry, but we're really new at this. And we really hope to have everybody there, whether it's the Eagan Maritime Institute or the Children's Fund or Think Kids. The community needs to know about these things. Not everyone's busy doing their own thing, and it's so hard, and you don't know where to look. But it's all there, but our job is to get them all in one area so that we can be better parents and better community members and get them involved in volunteering and from a young age. So that's our goal, and we hope to get bigger. We hope that the Community Foundation was super generous, and we're so proud and thankful. And we're excited. That's all I have to say.
We did have over 200 families join us at the Great Harbor Yacht Club, and the next date for the Be Well Health Fair will be on March 12th. So save the dates. If you think that you would be wanting to have information to us, please call us and get on the board, okay?
Hi, my name's Pam Murphy. I'm the board president and one of the founding members of Nantucket Safe Harbor for Animals. Like so many have already said today, it's really an overwhelming and wonderful event to be at every year. I mean, Janice got me into tears from the get-go, just hearing, the stories that everyone here is so generous, and they do so much for every member of the community. And the Community Foundation has been a big help to us. I'm jumping around because I was not the intended speaker this morning. Our intended speaker was our executive director, Jessica Sosby, who must have been hanging around with Allie because she got that stomach bug. So, but first I just wanted to let you all know there's still some confusion as to who we are. We did a new logo to kind of stand out a little bit better, and for 60 years the animal hospital and the shelter on the island were the same operation, and that was the MSPCA. And in 2011, at the end of the year, they decided they were going to leave, so we were going to have no hospital for animals and no emergency services and no shelter. So fortunately, the veterinarians who had been on island already got together. They bought the old building, and they started their own practice, and it's called Offshore Animal Hospital. And we are not them. We are the shelter, and what we do is we take in stray animals for the town. We provide adoptable animals so that we bring in animals from off island, from crowded shelters, from other homeless animals, so that people on island can adopt easily and feel good about where their pets are coming from and meet them before they actually get here. We have a lot of programs, though. We don't just have dogs, cats, birds, bunnies, bearded dragons, turtles. We'll take in anything. We never turn an animal away. But we also do a lot for other members of the community. And one of them, obviously we try to promote spay and neuter, because what we'd really like to do is put ourselves out of business and not have to have a shelter. So the more people spay and neuter their pets, the better off we're all going to be. But we do a Seniors with Pets Assistance program where we help elderly people with animals who may have had a health issue and they need some help temporarily with their pets. And we have a pet food pantry for people who can't afford to feed their animals. But one of our biggest projects is what we call the Lucky Whiskers and Wags Fund, and that is what the Community Foundation has helped us with in the 5 years that we've been in existence. Not to mention the fact, I'm going to digress, that without Margaretta and the Community Foundation, and I say this every year because I am so eternally grateful, when we first started, it was all like whammo, we have to start a shelter, and what are we going to do, and how are we going to raise money? And Margaretta answered all of those questions. Her board was there to give us advice on every level, and we were able to raise money as a nonprofit before we actually became one, and that just made all the difference, because we could really just hit the ground running, and I'll be eternally grateful to you and the entire board of the Community Foundation. But what the grants have been supporting this Lucky Whiskers and Wags program, and what that is, believe it or not, there's a lot of people on Nantucket who can't necessarily afford medical help for their pets. The spaying and neutering is just one thing. If they have a medical emergency, they have to make the heart-wrenching choice of, do I euthanize my beloved pet and just horrify my child by having to lose this animal, or is there someone there that can help me to meet the medical expenses? And that's what Lucky Whiskers does, and it is one of the largest and most expensive programs that we do. So I had a couple of quotes here because I'm loving listening to everyone's quotes from the people that are, but I had to get them on my phone from somebody. So one of them is, we cannot thank you enough for the generous grant that you gave us for our little Mandy's medical help at Offshore Animal Hospital. The x-rays showed calcified discs in her neck. She is now on a new regimen of medication, and we have every hope that she will be okay. God bless everyone at Safe Harbor. I don't know where we would have been without your help. Another one from Offshore themselves, and every veterinarian on island uses us when they have a client that can't meet their medical needs. The Lucky Whiskers and Wags referral program has been a great resource for our clinic. There are times when our clients have no other option but to euthanize their pet because they just cannot afford the emergency veterinary care. Being able to refer them to NISH's LWW program has meant lives saved, and we are so grateful that this fund exists. And then lastly, from the Safe Place, because we do work with a Safe Place, and other organizations that make referrals to us because they know the people who are in need. And this was just part of it. The Whiskers and Wags Fund has been terrific. It allowed a number of families that we service here at a Safe Place to keep their companion animals. Animals are an important part of the family. The families that we deal with are already facing sorrow, loss, and stress. Many of them find comfort in having a non-judgmental creature in their lives. I remember one situation where a woman had, oh no, my phone's ringing. So maybe that's my cue to stop right there because I'm also going to start to cry. But I do, again, I can't thank you all enough. Thank you for your generosity. We love this program. And lastly, I just want to say we have plenty of adoptable animals, and we have 21 puppies on their way over the course of the next few months. So the next batch is December 17th. Come and see them. Go online, fill in an application, and take them home. Thank you very much.
Now we have our nutrition and food category, the Nantucket Food Pantry and Sustainable Nantucket.
Good morning. So it's so inspiring, it's more overwhelming to go towards the end because you're already choked up. So I'm Anne-Marie Bellavance, the director of the Nantucket Food Pantry, which is a program of Nantucket Interfaith Council. We are so grateful to Margaretta and to Dean and the Community Foundation and the committee to have received this grant to continue our fresh produce program. So the fresh produce is, I feel, one of a basic right for everyone to have access to fresh produce. And so we will be able to continue to purchase CSA shares from Bartlett's Farm and Moore's End Farm to offer consistent fresh produce during the farm season. And we also are partnering with Sustainable to continue to expand the fresh produce program. There's also another amazing group on the island that is just forming a food rescue program. So they're also partnering with Sustainable and the farms and creating and tapping into existing gleaning programs, which will also continue to provide us more fresh produce next summer. We also have Share Your Harvest, so if there are any backyard gardeners here in the room or you know of one, there are a lot of amazing backyard gardens here. on the island that have access, and we doubled we went from 30 donations to more than 60 this summer through that Share Your Harvest program. So fresh produce makes us happy, and we're excited to offer more of it. I'm going to close and shift gears a little bit and talk more about nonprofit leadership. So we're all nonprofit leaders here in this room and community leaders. And nonprofit leaders are known to not necessarily practice self-care. So, self-care, I think, in light of the changes that are ahead and the uncertainty and the fear, so us as leaders, it's important for all of us to stay strong and stay together. And so will you all just, for 1 second, take a pledge with me? So can everybody just raise their hand for a minute? It doesn't matter what hand. So just repeat after me. I promise to stay strong for Nantucket. By sleeping 7 to 9 hours a night. As often as I can. Okay, stay strong. We'll be strong together. Thank you.
That's a hard act to follow. Good morning, everyone. My name is Michelle Whelan. I'm the Executive Director of Sustainable Nantucket. And along with everyone else that's been up here, I'm really humbled and grateful and pleased and delighted to be here. Thank you to Margaretta and Jean, and to everyone on the board and to the Grants Committee for your help and support for us and our programs through the years. Sustainable Nantucket is trying to rebuild the local food system. We had over 100 farms in 1875 on the island. We had about 30 in 1950. We had 3 in 2007. We now have 15, if you count our beginning growers. And what we're really concerned about is making sure that we can be as self-reliant as possible, have as much fresh local produce as possible, and also teach our children the larger lessons of environmental stewardship, and that in order for us to be healthy, we have to have clean air, clean water, and healthy soil. And we want them to learn that lesson through hands-on engagement, which we found, as so many of you have said, is what really makes those lessons stick. So our Farm to School program started in 2010 with the help of the Community Foundation. We built a garden, the Joyce N. Furman Youth Garden, supported by many of you here, and it is still going strong. It was moved with the construction of the school, so it's now over on First Way, like right next to the superintendent's building. And we are providing over 500 students a year with both in-school and after-school programming in the garden, and they learn a lot of lessons. I just have a quick story. My daughter, who's 6, unfortunately, here I am working really hard to teach everyone about fresh produce and make sure we have enough of it, and support our farms. And my daughter doesn't like greens. She only likes meat, potatoes, bread, and red fruit. That's it. So this summer, I put her in our brand new summer program, which was started with the help of the Community Foundation. And one day she came home and she had very dirty carrots in her bag. And she was like, "These are my carrots. I picked them. I'm going to eat them." So we washed them, we cleaned them, we cut them up, and she ate them, and she loved them. So we have moved from red fruit to orange vegetables. So it's just an example of, one of the ways that we can help our children connect with their food. And the idea being that, we start with children who are in preschool, and we work with kids all the way through their senior year in high school. When they graduate, they will be connected to their local food system. They will understand our nutrient cycle. And they will hopefully, maybe a few of them even actually become farmers because they can move into our community farm program. And much of this programming would not have been possible without the Community Foundation. Last year, we started a summer program so that we could expand our offerings and provide curriculum to kids during the summer when our harvest season is actually, at its strongest, and include our seasonal residents and their children. And that is going strong, and what this grant is helping us do is providing us with the ability to have a staff for that program that can help us have more students there. So we'll have an apprentice who work with us all summer long and into the fall, teaching these kids and working with the organization. So thank you so much again. We so appreciate your help, and we'll see you in the garden, hopefully.
You did. And our final category, our most vivacious, exciting, are the teens. We have the Boys and Girls Club, the Nantucket Film Foundation, and the Nantucket Soccer Club.
Good morning. I'm Phyllis McInerney, the Executive Director of the Nantucket Boys and Girls Club. And along with everyone else, I would like to thank the Community Foundation for always supporting the Nantucket Boys and Girls Club. This year, our grant funds are designated for our Teens After Hours program. Each Friday and Saturday evening, we close the club and open it up exclusively for teens. We provide a safe and supervised environment and hoping they make healthy life choices, which they must while they're at the club. I am proud to say that the numbers have really increased, and we're to the point where some nights we're seeing 90 kids, which we never thought we'd see that number, so we're really proud of that. They come and they play basketball, soccer, video games, listen to music, act really goofy like they aren't teenagers, and they just have a lot of fun and hang out, and that's what we want to be there for. Local restaurants are great. They donate food almost every evening, and if they don't, we just make something in-house because food does entice teens. And our goal is to just keep them engaged by providing a sense of security and connections. They're still just kids, and they do want some boundaries, even though they defy them. And our impact is increased because we have created these ongoing relationships with our professional staff. These kids come back year after year, and they've really bonded with our staff. The harmony between what young people need to grow into a productive adulthood and what they really want to do with their free time, it gives us the opportunity to do both. Programs that are designed to foster youth development built on the strengths of the young people, and we recognize their need for support and challenging opportunities. It's an honor to provide the club to the teens and to see them thrive, and I just want to thank you very much.
Love community and being part of Nantucket community. It's a great event here today. Thank you, Community Foundation, for bringing us here today. I'm Neil Martilla, and I'm here today as the treasurer of the Nantucket Film Foundation, aka Nantucket Film Festival. Yes, treasurer up here. So I probably won't speak as eloquently as everyone else has about their programs, but I can say that as a treasurer and a banker, that the funds that are provided are really instrumental in us providing some programs for the community. And one that we provide is the Teen View program. And the Teen View focuses on empowering Nantucket teens by teaching screenwriting and filmmaking skills, and encompasses year-round writing labs, and also encompasses a week-long filmmaking during the week of the film festival, which the teens then present at the end of the film festival. So we're really appreciative of the Community Foundation for helping make that possible, and thanks again to the Nantucket community. Thanks.
I am Betty DuPont. I'm the president of Nantucket Soccer Club. And somewhere is Eleanor.
I'm still Eleanor. Hi. Like many of you, I'm on a couple of boards, the second of which is the Nantucket Soccer Club, used to be the Nantucket Student Soccer Association. And this is our first year applying for, and very fortunate to receive have our application not only accepted, but some money given to us for to launch a program for scholarship and financial aid for kids to play soccer. I'll give you an example of a child we could help. A family comes, they want to register their 3 children for travel soccer in the spring. They don't have enough money to register all 3. They either don't register any of them, or one kid gets gypped. So our goal is to prevent that from happening, and also to provide incentives for some of the families that will be receiving aid, whether it be a small amount or full scholarship, to contribute back to the program and to the community. We'll be probably encouraging kids to participate in our referee program, so student refs. This is a great way to get kids invested in the game and to learn more about it. And we'll have parents helping out maybe with bake sales during on-island games, helping with transportation, any number of different things where the kids and or their families can contribute back to the program. So we don't want it to be just a one-way thing. So this is a new program. We hope to be back here next year showing you how successful, maybe overused it was, but hopefully not. We know that there's a huge need. We've had to kind of comp people and go into a little bit of debt in the past. We don't want to turn anybody away. Soccer is now a year-round sport. It is the most popular sport in the world. And this is a program that allows kids to be part of a family. My 3 children play. Their teammates are like their brothers and sisters. They have this wonderful, any of you who have children who play sports, whatever the sport is, and at whatever age, it's your family. It's another family. So it's very, very important, and it also keeps them off the streets. So this is great, and thank you, Community Foundation. Thank you, everybody, and I think we're the last ones.
Oh, thank you, everyone. We kept you a little longer than we had intended, but with this many recipients and so many great stories, sorry. Hearing these stories continues to be incredibly inspirational to all of us, and it is our honor at the Community Foundation to fund these programs and services that truly make a difference in the lives of Nantucketers each and every day. Many thanks to all of you for taking time in your busy schedules. Special thanks to Mark and Gwen Snyder and the Nantucket Hotel for providing this beautiful space, and to our new sponsors, BYN Mellon Wealth Management, for their sponsoring of this breakfast. We are thrilled to have them on board. Lori Richards was nice enough to volunteer to take photographs for us, so hopefully you'll be seeing some of those as we move forward in our year. And as Victoria mentioned, we have some multi-year pledged donors, including some new business donors. Some of here today. We are not prepared to make an announcement, but I think you'll be hearing something shortly about some ongoing support from our community. Thrilled to have you. Very special thanks to Jean Miller, who is our programs director, who makes this happen literally. And to our grants committee, Marcia, everybody sitting here, they spend an inordinate amount of time reviewing these applications and making sure that our dollars are really strategically directed to our community. Happy stroll to everyone, and we hope we see you back here next year. Thank you.